All right, we are here, we are set, and we are ready to go. Good morning, and I'm back in good voice. Good morning, team JNFM, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and all. Okay, all revved up, and we're ready, coming off from last week, right?
Right. Wonderful good morning to you, Nadine. Team JNFM is so happy to be a part of the Love 101 family and to share with our listeners each week. Listeners, good morning to you. It's always our pleasure to be here.
All right, so we have Dolores and Peter Gay back in studio. Good morning again and welcome.
Good morning.
And we went through a myriad of investment options last week. And I'm sure our listeners had no idea there were so many choices. And I pray to ask because I'm sure there might be more. Discussing them served to show how important it is to know what's available and not simply stick to the popular ones, which, as good as they are, may not be the ones best suited for you, right? So knowledge is indeed progress and power.
Yes, it is, Nadine. Yes. And as you'd remember, last week, Peter Gay also shared the difference between investing and saving and showed how each was important and played a vital role in building the strategy going into our financial plan. Another key point of this exercise was to show that it's really not enough to just have a great investment product. The product must be great for you and should be the right fit for your overall financial plan. So think financial plan, not just financial product.
All right.
This leads me into this week's exercise. As I'd promised, we'd be matching investments to goals. We'll be looking at time horizon, risk profiles, and just really the whole package. I like to think, in fact, I know that my advisory team is amongst the best in the business. So listeners, sit tight, take notes if necessary, as I hand over to Peter Gay.
All right. Welcome, Peter Gay.
Good morning, Nadine, and good morning, listeners. Now, I know you're ready to hear how you can make your money work hard and smart for you. But you see, one of the things we have to be clear on are the risks we're able to take and we're willing to take on. Now, some of the factors that you need to consider when you're looking at our individual investment profile, it's our age, what our goals are, our income and expenditure, our family, the appetite we have for risk, our time frame or time horizon, and our current savings and investments. Now, what this will do, it will help us to determine how much risk we can afford if our appetite permits and for how long. Now, we also want to look further on our time horizon or time frame. A question you should ask yourself: when do I need the money I invested in my hands? Right? Because the longer one has to invest, the more risk they can afford to take on, particularly if you're younger.
Okay.
Right? Because then you have more time and you're able to take on, as we said, more risk. Now, as we said before, we need to match the type of investments we choose to our time horizon. So firstly, our short-term goals, which are up to 2 years. They can be whether going to the university, getting married, having a wonderful vacation, or the deposit on a home. So some of the products that we can choose: cash. And when we say cash, we're thinking of partner plans, whether with the bank or with your neighbor, whoever you trust. Saving accounts, fixed deposits or CDs, money market accounts or repos, we all went through them last week, and our medium-term goals, which are between 3 to 5 years. We can think of maybe our child's university or our children's university, car deposit, or car purchase, or purchasing a home. We don't want to leave that for long term. Right? So some of the products, again, fixed income instruments, tax-free investments, unit trusts, mutual funds, stocks. And these are just some of the options.
Right.
Now, the long-term goals. These are 5 years and more. These are considered to be some of the most important decisions that we have to make in life, because one of them is retirement planning. Now, a lot of us don't consider retirement planning early on,
Right.
but retirement planning must be a part of our financial planning, and it should be planned from actually our very first paycheck. And if you haven't started as yet, listeners, start now, right? So some of the options we have: tax-free investments, long-term bonds, unit trusts, mutual funds, stocks, and real estate.
All right. I like that you mentioned the retirement thing, as we were just talking about that recently. And these are things that we really, really need to think about, plan ahead, and, put something in place, put something aside. Right, Dolores?
Right, absolutely. You are indeed a good listener, Nadine. If I had known, or I didn't think about that, are avoided when we speak to a professional. It's the professional job to know. Don't just join lines for transactions when you go into financial institutions. Talk to a professional and leave with a plan.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We advise persons to start where they are. If you have small amounts, start there. If you have been saving over time and have a moderate sum, start there. Whether it's big, small, the important thing is that you just start. Have you ever listened to the stories of many successful persons who tell you where they came from and the road to success? Sometimes it's really amazing, Nadine. But what happened? It took planning. The right information, guidance, and determination is all that's needed to achieve your financial goals.
All right. So it's quite a mouthful, but these are points that we really need to bear in mind. Anything else you want to share on, Dolores?
Yes, Nadine, and I want to remind our listeners, procrastination is not an option. If you want to achieve your goals, just start. Put it on paper, and as we said before, small or medium, just start. Match the type, put your goals in perspective. So if you're planning for a goal for the next 5 years, ensure that you sit with a professional so that once your investor profile is assessed, then your goals can be matched to the investment products that you're choosing. I know sometimes as individual, we think that we can do it ourselves. Not to say that we can't, but with the guidance of someone in the field who knows the ins and outs, you'll be better able to achieve. So my thing to you is get started one and do it with a professional.
Okay. All right, sound words there. And if I were you, I would listen. Your website has an article, Personalize Your Strategy. And it shows, by way of story, some of what you've shared. And I'm recommending to listeners to, make sure you visit the website, JN Fund Managers, and search for the article, Personalize Your Strategy by Dolores.
Good idea, Nadine. We can also email it to persons on request if they text us on 877-2612 or email the request to jnfundmanagers@jnbs.com.
All right, Peter Gay, anything else from you?
Yes, and a gentle reminder to our listeners that today's program and our past programs, they're available on the JN Fund Managers Facebook page. So, of course, friends help friends advance in life by sharing information. So, listeners, if you want to pass on what you've been hearing this morning or what you've heard before, just visit and like our Facebook page and then share the post on your page.
All right. So any homework? GSAT was last week. We'll get homework this week.
Well, like GSAT, you're really on a break. As
Okay.
next week, Nadine, we will actually go in a different direction.
Okay.
Looking at redundancies and the impact on families and individuals. As you would have been hearing in the news recently, there has been another new spate of redundancies. We want to share with our listeners to ensure that as they go through this life-changing process, their needs and obligations are actually still met as they find the next opportunity. So next week, looking at redundancy, what you must do to ensure that you keep the assets you have, you're able to pay your bills, and you're able to live your life until the next opportunity arises.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing with us today. And looking forward, God willing, next week, when once again we will present Your Goals Realized, brought to you by JN Fund Managers Limited. This is Love 101.
Relationships that build wealth, create opportunities, the right solutions. That's what we do at JN Fund Managers.
We're in pursuit of your financial security.
Portfolio and investment management services for individuals and corporate clients, from wealth building and risk management to preparing for a comfortable retirement. Strong, stable, secure.
We're in pursuit of your success.
Let's talk. JN Fund Managers, your safer, smarter financial partner.